Welcome back to the ARKAST Podcast, the podcast where we talk to the podcasters in Arkansas about the craft that they do, their content, and how they created it. With me today in this special episode leading up to ARKAST, our annual podcast festival, is Sarah Heer. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm a travel blogger. I get to say that I'm a professional traveler. That's pretty cool to get to say. I travel the state and talk about all the cool things to do in Arkansas.
Awesome.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That sounds like the dream job that your guidance counselor never told you in high school, right?
Right? It's kind of become a thing, where I guess kids or even adults are kind of stepping outside of what careers used to look like and creating our own, which is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, for sure. So how did all this get started? I mean, you obviously had a love for travel, I would assume, before you started.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that journey, where it started?
Yeah. So my husband and I, we love to travel. That's kind of how we formed a connection to each other. We would, on our first dates, we would go and see waterfalls just all over the state and go and explore. We used the Arkansas Waterfalls book by Tim Ernst and would just go and check out just all the things that the natural state has to offer. And we also love staying in weird places. Like we stayed in like a bubble tent and a caboose and a teepee. And so I had booked us this tiny home in Northwest Arkansas for his birthday. And went up there and took some pictures, posted them on my personal page. And people started messaging me and they were like, where's that? Like, can you send me the link? I want to go there. I want to stay there. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What if we started an Instagram just for our travels? And so on the road around the Siloam Springs area, we were just driving back roads and we kind of started playing with names and got hopped on Instagram and started Arkie Travels.
And then, what year was that? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, 2019. Oh, yeah.
2019. Okay.
Yeah, right before, well, it was like March. So it was like the year before COVID. But in 2020, we had already made the decision to do a project where we tackled all 52 Arkansas state parks and where we did a video on each of them. And I tell you what, if that is some work right there, because we wouldn't just go to each park once. We would go sometimes 3 and 4 times to make sure that we were getting every single bit of content that we could possibly create at these parks. And I was editing a long form video every single week and putting it out. And that was that was wild. I don't know if I could do it again now that I look back on it. It was some serious work, but we did it. And that's kind of how we got our start, how we got our name out there and what really kind of blew it up.
Right. Some of the videos, and when you go to these parks, you're not just walking around and showing the touristy type of, oh, look, here's where the park tells you to go. You know what I mean? Like you do that. But you also do some things that are fun, like here's a recipe for something to cook up on the grill, and then you feel yourself cooking that there at the picnic area table.
I mean, for sure, but also like the history of these parks. So many of these parks were created because of the history of our state, and so to make sure that you're being extremely accurate in that information and that you're doing due diligence to the factual information, that you're really going out and researching a lot to get those dates right, to get the names right and everything is a lot for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah, I imagine it would be. And you sort of challenged, you challenged everybody who comes to Arkansas to visit all these parks too, because you have your own map where people can, mark off every time they've gone to one of these state parks, right?
Yeah, so we created the challenge map just because we had so much fun and we were like, why aren't other people doing this? And so created the 52 State Park Challenge and the scratch off map. And people all over the state and all over the United States have ordered these maps and are taking the challenge for themselves. So I love that. I think that's super cool.
That's amazing. Have you had the opportunity to partner with some of the tourism departments in the state?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have worked with Arkansas State Parks now. And when we did all of the parks, like we didn't introduce ourselves. We didn't say, hey, we're doing this. We just did it because it was one of those, let's ask forgiveness, not permission. And so the end of it, they reached out and they were like, "Hey, so we've been watching your videos and that's awesome." And so it kind of created this connection. And then we were able to meet up with some of them, became very, very good friends, and have been able to now be paid for our work with our contracts with Arkansas State Park. So
That's amazing. And it's turned into, like, you've been picked up on several different forms of media. Like, you put your videos out there on YouTube, and of course you have your website and social media channels that everyone connects with and follows you around. But I mean, it's expanded and it's amazing. I didn't realize you started in 2019. That's why I was like, you remember when it started? Because it seems like as much as you've accomplished so far, 2019, that's very, very, very soon. Like, that was quick that all this happened together.
yeah, so we made the decision to go full time last year. And that was kind of the game changer of being able to just make space, to make time available where we could go and explore in the middle of the week. Our favorite days are Monday, Tuesday, because nobody's out. And we can usually go to places and get footage without people in it, which is, super awesome. And just getting out there and, I mean, I can't not explore. I'm always going to.
Right.
So to be able to do this and to do it full time now is just amazing. It's cool.
That's great. All right, and you're native to Arkansas?
Yeah. Yeah. So Paul and I both, I grew up in Sling County. He grew up in Southwest Little Rock. And I had a little break where I moved to Georgia. My dad is retired from Delta Airlines. And so we got moved to Georgia when I was in high school and graduated from Jonesboro, Georgia, just south of Atlanta, and then got transferred back and did all my college and everything here. So, yeah.
Amazing. So why did you, I guess you were born here, of course, so you had roots here already, and then you went to Georgia for a while and came back. So why come back to Arkansas? Why stay here and invest so much into it?
Oh, I mean, my parents didn't give me a choice back then. They were like, "Not here, you're coming." Like, I had like acceptance to all these colleges in Georgia and I had all these scholarships and stuff. And they're like, no, the family can't break, like, you got to come. And I was like, there was a bit of a fit thrown, but of course now I'm super glad that they did, that they did have me come back and go to college here and definitely do that. But as far as the question about, why invest so much in Arkansas, have you seen it? Like, have you been outside to see these amazing places? Because Arkansas, I say honestly that it is the best kept secret in the South. And I authentically mean that because it's not hillbillies and moonshine. Like it's not all Walmart. It's not all Bill Clinton. It is a beautiful state with amazing people. And when you really get out and you explore and you see that for yourself, I think that a lot of people get mad at me. They're like, quit telling people about how cool Arkansas is. And I'm like, but I want to share the joy and the love of the beautiful state with everybody. Like, I just can't help myself. I got to talk about it.
I think it helps us grow as people too. Once we ever are able to, share some of that with our, outside. We don't keep it, exclusive club of Arkansas. You know what I mean? We don't keep our mountains and our culture to ourselves. I mean, it's just, we're sharing that. So yeah, I was setting you up with that question because for people who live here, you can step outside and just go about anywhere, any direction, and find something beautiful here and something to love, something to brighten your day, right? Yeah. But for people who are outside of Arkansas that just have an idea of what Arkansas is, just because, I guess through TV or however it's expressed, about what Arkansas life is, you know what I mean? So they may have an avatar in their mind. And it was just that, like you were saying, it's not all hillbillies and Bill Clinton and,
Not that those are awesome things, like not trying to diss anybody, but Arkansas is way more than the rumors that are on the news worldwide about it.
Right.
So, yeah,
for sure. How Arkansas is portrayed in, I guess, like major media, like movies and TV and stuff, is not a lot of how you see it when you actually stay here and you step out and you can see all the diverse faces and cultures and landscapes and different areas that we have. It was amazing.
For sure.
So yeah. Well, with the work you're doing, hopefully it's not going to be a best kept secret for long. I mean, everybody can you can watch your videos and listen to your podcast and hear all about how amazing Arkansas is and the potential that we have here to grow in the future. So tell me how Hey Arkansas came about, your podcast.
Yeah, so my coach made me do it. I have a business coach, and she was like, "Why don't you start a podcast?" And I was like, "No." And I probably said no for 6 months, I would say, before she was finally like, "Look, give me 12 episodes and see how it feels. If it feels good, then you'll know. If it doesn't feel good, then you've done your 12 episodes and that's it." And I was like, "Okay." And so, so I, had the graphic design and created the intro and found the music. And then I started talking to people. And kind of the premise around it is I want to just talk to Arkansans that are doing really cool things and hear about why they're doing it, what they're doing, how this all came about, kind of what we're talking about today, the origin story.
Yeah.
And I reached out to just some of my favorite people and was like, "Hey, will you come on my podcast?" And it was immediate yeses across the board. Like I didn't get a single no. And I popped out those 12 episodes in a couple months. And, listening back, it's like that was a period in my life when it was just cool to take the time to really get to know other Arkansans and to really dive into, we talk about how cool Arkansas is, but it's the people, like the people that are doing the things. And to hear their stories and to just get to talk to them. That's kind of where I was just like, yes, like this is amazing. I kind of love this. I kind of love this. And then life happened and I have not recorded since. So you're having me as a guest on your podcast show. And I'm like, I haven't done a podcast in a while. So if you're recording a podcast right now and you take a break after season 1, it's okay. And you can come back whenever you're ready.
Exactly right. And last year when I was creating the first ARKAST festival and gathering up the speakers, there's no list that I could find online of like, well, who are all the people who are doing podcasts in Arkansas. And so I had to do a lot of digging and investigating to gather up all my speakers, and it was a lot of work trying to go to all the quarters of the internet. And I already had you in mind because of Arkie Travels, and I was like, it's not technically a podcast, but I was like, it's great content, and it is being recorded and put it out in like it's sort of episodes. And then I found out that you had Hey Arkansas, and after going to your website and everything, and it's like, oh, perfect, you're the right fit, absolutely
Worked out.
And so, yeah, for sure, because of the work that you're doing, where you are showing why is Arkansas worth it? Who are the people that live here, and why are we interesting?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. So I was like, that's everything that this festival is supposed to revolve around. And so I was like, that's amazing gotta have Sarah there as a speaker. And so I appreciate you coming and doing that for us last year. Well, you and Cliff and Susan on the same panel. That was pretty amazing to have you all.
Those two, oh my gosh, they're so cool. Like anytime I get to do an event with them, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's Cliff and Susan. Like I get to be here with them. That's amazing.
Right. And you had, so they were your first guests on your podcast, right?
Yes. Susan was my first guest on my podcast, and it worked out really well because I left my microphones at home. And
wow.
They were brand new, like the Rode, like everything had come in and I'd unboxed it all. And then I was like, I need to put these back in the boxes because I'm going to hurt them. And so I had stuff in my bag, and those boxes were like right behind it. So I grabbed my bag and I left, and I got halfway to her house and I was like, oh my God, I don't have microphones. What am I going to do? And then I was like, oh, never mind. It's Susan. She got plenty of microphones. And luckily she had the exact same setup that I did. She had the Rodecaster. And so it was super easy for me to just plug in her stuff and use it. But I never forgot my microphones ever again. You better believe it.
Great. Yeah, that worked out perfectly for you. I was going to say, oh, you forgot the microphone with the session with the musician? It's like, oh, yeah, of course, she had her own backed up. That's amazing. Yeah. Cool. Well, so you recorded a season and released it, and then now you're sort of taking a break. And so, do you have any plans of picking the podcast back up for another season? And like, what are your goals and plans for that?
Yeah, so I know I talked about it last year, but I have a camper that my husband bought me for my birthday a couple years ago, and I want to turn it into like a road show, like a mobile podcast studio. And so he's gutted it, and I have everything ready to go in, and then the painters are painting it. And so I've got to have it all like, painted and then install everything. And then it'll be ready to go. And I'm just like, So hopefully this fall, when it cools off and he's ready to get back in there and get it done, and it'll be all painted by then, we can get some guests going and get it out there.
That's amazing. Yeah. Very popular model too. Like there's some people that are taking the what are the ones like a Twinkie, the big silver.
Oh, yeah, the Airstream. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they're Airstreams. They're taking Airstreams. It always looks like a metal Twinkie. That's all I think.
A metal Twinkie. I'm gonna call it that from now on.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of people are taking those and just taking them out on the road and in different states. The Arkansas hasn't done it yet. So like literally in the podcasting industry, especially since we've started the nonprofit and found out like anytime you turn a corner, you're trailblazing. And it's the beginning of something, but I can see how it's starting to churn up and like it's becoming more popular. We're getting more podcasts and collecting them for the database of all the people who are producing podcasts in Arkansas. So they're definitely looking for the ones.
That list that you have on your website of all the podcasts, like I scrolled through that last week and I was like, man, there's so many cool podcasts out there. I got to listen. I got to get on there and hear some more of these.
And we're just scratching the surface and we're learning that because every day we get, 4 or 5, submitted to us that we don't have on the list yet. And so we're just continuously growing and growing and growing. Or we're having conversations with people. Oh, you're into the podcasting field? My friend has one. And he interviews these people, it's like, so they're telling me about the content, but not everybody is great at the marketing point. So being able, just searching online, it doesn't naturally come up because a lot of people just record, release it to the ether and just, leave it up to chance if you find it or not. And not really sure how to market it or don't have the budget, of course, when we're starting podcasts because there's such a low barrier to entry. You kind of piggybacked off of Arkie Travels, and people know, not only Arkie Travels, but your personal brand, Sarah Heer, and being able to go on, it's THV, right? Is that you go on the local?
Well, like, I mean, I've been on several of the news stations, but like this morning, Springfield had me zoom in. And so I was
nice
news this morning, which is cool. So that was fun. But yeah, I go on the Vine on Channel 11, and then I go on Good Day NWA up Northwest Arkansas. So yeah.
But so you're doing, I mean, you built your brand up, and then you were able to use that as a momentum, which is interesting because a lot of people, don't have that personal brand built up yet when they start the podcast. They just have an idea. Well, I've been in this industry for so long, and I want to have a podcast about real estate, and so the people that know them in those realms probably know them, but they're trying to reach a broader audience and not really sure how to do that. So what are some of the advice that you would give to somebody that's trying to market their own podcast or personal brand, either one?
I tell you what, that's hard. There are a lot of voices right now. Video is probably the number one, like, easiest thing that you can do. I know we're videoing right now, but videoing your podcast and putting them on YouTube, and then taking clips from them and putting them on TikTok and on Instagram Reels and things like that. Like, that is so important, and it's an easy kind of thing that you can do. Even, there are AI softwares. Susan Irwin-Prowse knows way more about AI than I do, and she's definitely a person that you could go to learn. But she uses several different AI programs that will pull clips, the good parts, pull the clips for you and create little video snippets. And so that's a really cool and a really easy thing that you can do. Make sure that when you have a guest on, if you are a guest style podcast, that you just simply ask your guest to share it. That way it goes out to their audience and they're able to see it. And most guests, like 1,000%, they'll just automatically do it. You usually don't even have to ask. But that's an easy way to kind of get your podcast out to more things. And if you're a podcaster, you're just doing it by yourself, then I would encourage you to invite some guests on. That's also a super easy thing and a great way to have conversation. And, it's great to sit and talk and want to share your opinion, but I get so much more out of it whenever I have a guest on and there's shared energy. And you're able to learn. Like for me, podcasting is about learning about other people. It's not about sharing what I know. It's about learning what they know, and then getting to share that with the world. So that's kind of where I come at the podcasting from, is just wanting to build relationships in this kind of way. And also being able to share a guest across our audience is always such a pleasure for me, to just get to gift that to someone, to get to say, hey, please, come on my podcast because I want to share your story. But I'm also going to share it with my, 170,000 plus followers from all over the world. Yeah. And that's always like like they're like, yes, yes, I'll be there whenever you want. I'll be too. Like I've met people at the library in downtown Little Rock. I've met people all over the place to record podcasts. So it's having a guest on is always good.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, when you have a guest and you're asking them to share it, a lot of them will naturally, because it's like they agreed to be on your podcast because it's great for you. It's also great for them. Right?
Yeah.
It's an excellent exposure. So you get a little bit of free marketing out of that. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. What we've heard so many times, especially this year since we've been talking to people who are doing podcasting successfully. It's like, don't underestimate your reels, your shorts, TikTok videos. I mean, you record the one video of your podcast, and then you're able to splice that up into like you said, little snippets, and you're posting those a lot, and you're just reusing your content over and over and over. But you're capturing a different audience every time you put it out there and growing your subscriber base. So
yeah, and one thing, I don't know if this is how you do it, but one thing I've seen some of the big podcasters doing recently is, if you don't know how to crop your video into like a reel, because it's a vertical, if you don't know how to do that, then they stack their two screens, so like my screen and your screen, they stack it so it creates that vertical, and that's something that I'm seeing more and more a lot of podcasters doing, and that way you can kind of see both sides of the conversation going on in those little snippets, which is super cool.
Yeah, I've been, recently we've been using, it's an AI tool, and you just send it a link to your YouTube, the video to chop it up, and it'll create 60 clips out of one. Like you just submit it, and it'll. I'll send it over to you in just a minute.
All right.
But yeah, if you remember Jamie Taylor turned me on to it, so she uses it all the time. I was like, this is great. I love it. And it'll be. Yes, she is. And it'll be focused on the speaker, and it'll even put captions at the bottom for you. But it captures moments when it thinks are like the good little nuggets that you can release out there if you're less than 60 seconds, so.
That sounds amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So AI is not all that bad. You know what I mean?
For all kinds of stuff, I hate writing captions, like post descriptions. So what I'll do is I'll say, give me 10 100 word or 100 character or less descriptions about Arkansas waterfalls in Northwest Arkansas or Russellville, and it'll spit them out. And I'm like, oh, look at that. That looks great.
Yeah. And you can't tell that it wasn't a human that wrote it. And
right?
It's just well crafted, and so it is learning. Yeah, we use the AI for a lot of different things we've done, especially in the marketing for ARKAST, this year's podcast festival leading up. It's helpful when you're only a 3-person team trying to put on 2 weeks worth of festival. You need some assistance. I was like, next year we are definitely going to do an internship or something. You know what I mean? I said, we've got that help here.
Yeah.
Amazing. So. And we're glad to have you as a speaker returning for us at ARKAST, on September 7th at the main event. So we're really excited to have you back in person and able to share your experience since last year. And of course, last year you dropped a lot of information, and those videos are still up if you're able. Anyone wants to look those up, they're on YouTube. But you gave away a lot of how to get started as a podcaster, and like how you did it, and a lot of the drive, and what makes you create your content. And so this year we're excited to hear more from you of like how that's grown and what you're doing, because I know every day you're doing something else. This morning you were on the news in spring.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Right after this, I got like 15 meetings. So, yeah.
right. Oh, great. Great. Well, I won't keep you too long, but yeah, we were
As
excited.
long as you want, you're good.
Yeah, we're super excited to hear from you, and just where your view is on podcasting, because last year you were able to sort of network with all the other speakers who were already in the podcasting field. And so do you see since last year any different trends or like more, I guess, maybe comfortability with Arkansans and podcasting?
That's a really great question. I mean, just based on the list that you have up, I feel like it's like an exploding field that people are starting to be like, oh, you mean you can order your microphones on Amazon and they come in 2 days? Like, that's cool. And you talked about that low cost of entry, and just being able to get into it and do it. And people have a lot to say, and they want a place to say it. And so I don't know, it's definitely something that people are grabbing a hold of. That's for sure.
Right. And some of the workshops, there's some go-to phrases that I've been using a lot. You always, when you go on tour with the same sort of material, like you have those key notes that you hit, every time. You may change some other things up, but there's those key, ideas that you have to express. And so, two of those that I always give out is that there's a quote that says great stories happen to people who tell them, right? So everybody has a life that is worth talking about, but we don't know about it unless you talk about it. And we're talking about, giving voices to people, and raise your voice. That's how you speak up. That's how you get known. Raise your hand in class. Closed mouth never gets fed, that type of thing. Yeah. But a lot of people's fear is that they don't have an audience. Like if they speak, there's not going to be anybody that listens to them. Or what if I fail at this? And so you sort of weren't afraid. You went after this. You're like, okay, I'm going to put this as a season. I'm not going to commit myself to continuously doing an episode every week for years to come, but I'm going to go ahead and film 12 episodes. And after that, I can take a break. I can look at it and see, what could I do better? Or do I want to continue this? Was it fruitful? Did I get some of those goals? And so what would you say to people who are like, I don't know if I'm going to have an audience for this?
Oh, there's always an audience for something. I mean, there's like, you can put in knitting kittens or something into the internet, and Google will spit out pages where that is a love of someone. And so no matter what you want to talk about, there are people out there that want to connect with you in that way, and that want to hear what you have to say. I mean, whoever thought, me traveling Arkansas and wanting to talk to other Arkansans would be something that people wanted to see, because of the rumors, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, because of all the things. And I still get a lot of hate from people that, say Arkansas is nothing but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa. Like, slow your roll there. Calm down. No, we're trying to change that whole rumor situation. We're trying to change that. So if you're an Arkansan out there and you have something to say, then speak up, because there are definitely people out there that want to hear it and want to listen and want to get to know you in that kind of way. Right. So, yeah.
And another thing is it's not limited to just Arkansas. Once you're putting your content out there, anybody can listen to it. And if you want to, like Sarah, if you wanted to talk about Arkansas and talk about why the state is so great, and allow other people, around the world to hear those stories and hear from the people that live here, and be like, oh, that kind of dispels my whole beliefs around what Arkansas is. Mm-hmm. You absolutely have the tools to be able to do that. And I was looking at your channel, and you're almost 3,000 subscribers since 2019 on Arkie Travels on your YouTube page. That's amazing.
Oh, and I haven't even put the podcast on the YouTube. I know,
right?
The whole first season, I didn't even take my own advice. I didn't video. I just did voice, and it couldn't have gone better. But my goal is to add video whenever my big comeback happens, whenever the roadshow happens. So
great. I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, because I mean, the first season you're testing out a lot of things, and so it is kind of important to capture. The audio capture is way more important the first time around. You'd be like, okay, is this content good? Because you can have the bells and whistles and the nice studio, but if the content, the conversation, if it's not, coming out and if it's not working, then like nobody's going to stick around and listen to it. People are willing to listen to a washing machine in the background if the conversation's good on the podcast,
Yeah, for sure.
So you tested it, you found out, hey, there's definitely a listener base for this and people are excited. And now we can step it up another level. And it's kind of a good thing that you did, wait for your YouTube, because just recently, what was it, 4 months ago, they just added a new tab in their platform for podcasts specifically.
Oh,
So
nice. That's cool.
it's the perfect time. Yes, it's the perfect time. And so it makes you more discoverable when people are searching online. So yeah, amazing. But yeah, we are definitely excited to have you and looking forward to hearing from you again. Is there anything that you're really looking forward to this time around?
Learning. I want to hear from, I go to conferences, whether I'm speaking or not, I go to conferences to learn. So I'm excited to get to learn as well, even as a speaker, and to get to connect, to get to see my favorites and meet new ones. That's always fun. I don't know. I love the in-person stuff because I don't get a lot of that being on the road 24/7. We travel 3 to 5 days a week now. And I get a lot of like meeting and greeting in towns and things, but to get to go to a conference and to get to connect truly with someone is always amazing. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. You do a lot of traveling, not only on your own and with Paul, but with the wine tour bus, and you just had another one.
Yeah, we just finished our Prohibition tour. We did Prohibition Hot Springs, and that was absolutely incredible. Could not have gone any better. Sometimes with tours, I get real nervous that there's going to be like someone on the bus that's not having fun or whatever. But when there's alcohol involved, you can almost guarantee that everybody's going to have a good time. So
kind of hard not to have fun at that point.
Right.
And you always got such a, I don't know, a good disposition to yourself, like a good personality. And like, I think you make it fun just being there, like Sarah's personality,
Yeah, I mean, I want people to experience it for themselves through me, but I also want them to get excited and be like, well, I want to go there. She looks like she's having a great time. I want to go. And so we definitely try to do things that are fun so that I can be authentic and not be just faking it.
Right, exactly.
People will spot a faker from a mile away. So you got to make sure you're actually having a good time for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Well, Sarah, if they want to follow you, where can we follow you?
Yeah, so we're Arkie Travels, ARKIE Travels on every platform. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, the new Threads. You on Threads yet?
Because I own a marketing company, I had to jump on Threads every time a new format comes out. Yeah, especially because it was from Meta, and so I'm liking it so far.
I like it too. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Twitter, so to be able to have something so similar to Twitter but not is kind of fun for me. So I kind of like it. But yeah, so we're on all that, and we're on TikTok and YouTube as well, so you can check us out, watch our videos.
Awesome. And Hey Arkansas is available on all the podcast platforms.
Yeah, it is on everything as well. And then you can check out our website at arkietravels.com.
Great. And your podcast is on there as well, I would assume?
That's a good question.
And you're like, I don't know. I'll check on that.
I'm going to make myself a note right now because I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Might want to know where to point people.
Pretty funny.
Amazing. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking your time this morning and talking to me and for filming this special episode leading up. Like I said, we're incredibly excited to have you again. And this year is so big, and the audience is going to be so much larger. And so having somebody there that can help show why Arkansas is so great, like we're really excited to have you. Of course. So
awesome. It's going to be so awesome. You do such a great job, and the event's going to be amazing. So yes, definitely make plans to come out because it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
The ARKAST Podcast is brought to you by the Arkansas Podcast Collaborative. ARKAST is the Arkansas Podcast Festival, and it is going to be happening throughout September. That's right, September 1st through the 6th, we'll be hosting free workshops across Central Arkansas, and on September 7th, we will have the main event of ARKAST 2023 at the Innovation Hub once again. On September 20th, we're taking the festival on the road to Northwest Arkansas, where we will be hosting a podcast workshop at the Fayetteville Library, and the next day will be our very first annual ARKAST NWA. Tickets, reservations, and sponsorships are available at arkansaspodcasters.org.